Very soon you're going to learn a bit more about Chilli's life and childhood. That's one of the new things coming in Season 4. Are you ready to get emotional with episodes focused on Mrs. Healer? Back when Mrs. Healer was just a little pup, her name was Chilli Cattle, and in the upcoming episodes, we'll get to see a glimpse of that stage of her life. Chilli is Grandpa Mort's youngest daughter, so it's fair to say that in the Cattle family, Chilli was like their little Bingo. Ever since the dragon episode from Season 3, we've known that Chilli misses her mom a lot, who sadly passed away due to an illness. We'll get to see what Chilli's life was like, how her mom taught her how to draw so well, and we'll probably also find out not only her mom's name, but the kind of advice she gave her daughter. If you remember the bedtime episode, you know Chilli's most powerful line is, "I'll always be with you, even if you can't see me." And that's definitely something she learned from Mrs. Cattle, her mom. There's something else we're all gonna learn about Chilli, what her favorite toy was, and we've actually seen it once before. Chilli clearly loved the sword that went with her She-Ra costume, that warrior princess armor we see her wearing when she met Bandit in the fairy tale episode. Was she a tough girl? Of course she was. That's why we love Mrs. Healer. And because you love her too, grab your popcorn and get ready for another super special Cinewave. Remember the magic episode when Bluey teaches Bingo how to use that power? Well, Chilli is the younger sister, so it only makes sense that Aunt Brandy was the one who taught Mrs. Healer, or better yet, Chilli Cattle, how to use those pretend spells. That matters because the relationship between the two Red Healer sisters was definitely a lot like what we see between Bluey and Bingo. This special episode is going to start in the present day, after Brandy gives birth to her first child and Chilli is visiting her new nephew. The two sisters start chatting about how great childhood used to be, and Brandy says she misses that time, but not Chilli's pranks. What pranks, Chilli will ask, and then they'll both remember the day the little sister learned how to use magic. That's when we'll get a flashback, and fans will find out that Chilli was quite the mischievous pup. Back then, the #1 rule in the Cattle household, just like the Healers, was magic is real, end of story. The problem was that Chilli used that magic to prank her sisters and their parents, just like Bingo did in Featherwand. Chilli would mess with her dad while he shaved, stop her sister from getting a hot shower, and even used her magic to make her mom add more scoops of ice cream to dessert. This special episode is going to be hilarious. You can totally picture it already, right? Another memory from Chilli's younger days will show up in the Friends episode, when she meets Frisky, her childhood best friend, and Trixie, who would later marry Stripe. But back then, she was just another schoolmate. Remember how Frisky hated the idea of Rad moving away from Brisbane, and even called off the wedding over it? That moment sparked a pretty interesting theory. Bluey's godmother moved to Chilli's neighborhood when they were kids, but at first it wasn't great. Frisky doesn't like change, and when she met Chilli, things in her life were not going well. All she wanted was to move again, but little by little her new neighbor convincing her that living near the lake was actually pretty awesome. Chilli's other friend will also show up in the same episode. That'll be Trixie, who we all know looks just like Muffin. We tend to imagine Chilli's old school friend as a grumpy girl, just like her daughter would be in the future. This new story will not only show how Frisky was welcomed to the neighborhood, but also gives us a look at what a girl's day in the 80s was like. Since we've already seen what the boys' lives were like in Fairy Tale, now it's time to see how the girls used to have fun. One episode fans are dying to see is about Chilli's early adult years, and that iconic trip to London when she met the love of her life. According to Chilli in the show episode, there was some kind of competition at a party that Bandit won, which means another guy was trying to win her over. Was he a handsome guy? This episode is going to be told from 2 points of view. First, from Bandit's side, recognizing the girl he had seen years before, and then from Chilli's side. Was she unsure whether to give the funny blue healer a chance? We already know they ended up getting married, but how did that love story begin? We're finally gonna find out. Would you like to meet Bandit at a party? Drop a comment with #Bandit to be our friend. After Chilli agreed to go on a date with Bandit, we'll get to see what that very first date was like. And just so you know, it was funny to watch, but not great for poor Bandit. Remember the fancy restaurant episode? That one gives us a clue about what happened the day Mr. Healer tried to impress a girl. He forgot to make a reservation, got so nervous he had to ask for Chilli's name again, the food was terrible, and the main dish was super weird. And just when Bandit thought things couldn't get any worse and that he hadn't impressed her at all, something truly awkward happened. Chilli had to go to the bathroom, and while she was in there, she went through something so embarrassing it would have made anyone laugh at her. We know this because in a Season 2 episode where they pretend to be in a restaurant, Bandit asks if she had fun in the bathroom and Chilli gets offended, remembering what happened on their first date. But even back then, Chilli realized she had found the love of her life for a very simple reason. In the fancy restaurant episode, Bingo made her parents a super disgusting meal: strawberry jelly with noodles, pickles, sausage, and a cheese sandwich all mixed on one plate. And Bandit, trying to save Chilli from a horrible stomach ache, ate it all by himself. In that moment, Chilli remembered why she loves Bandit. He's not just a funny guy, he'll do anything to protect his family. Another episode that could be a big hit with fans is Chilli's version of that beach vacation she spent with her family back in the 80s dressed as She-Ra. We all know she said that wasn't her that day, but that's only because Chilli didn't want to admit she fell in love with Bandit the very first moment she saw him. Don't worry, Bandit, girls do that. If you look closely, you'll see Chilli's dressed up as a warrior princess, which means she liked action and adventure games. So it would be awesome to see her as a teenager playing with her sister and friends. Chilli definitely must have been a super clever and energetic pup. Do you think Bluey got that spirit from her mom? If you watch the episode Backpackers, you'll see that Chilli and Bandit loved traveling the world before they had kids, and that probably wasn't too hard to do since Mrs. Healer works at an airport. We could get to see the time when they were newlyweds with no kids yet and decided to go to India. Chilli bought a lucky charm during that trip, and it clearly worked out because her family is amazing. What kind of adventures did they go on? What other countries did they visit besides India and England? An episode called Newlyweds showing the early days of the Healer family would be so much fun to watch, don't you think? Speaking of adventure, you probably know that Chilli loves field hockey. She's probably as much of a fan as Riley from Inside Out. In the episode Bob Bilby, when Bandit's in the garage with the girls, we see a field hockey trophy right behind Mr. Healer. And since it's a gold one, that means Chilli won the championship. As a teenager, Chilli must have played that sport a lot, which is why she still holds onto those memories. It would be super cool to watch an episode with her playing for her school team and winning. It would probably be one of those stories where Chilli tells Bingo what it was like to win the state championship, since her youngest daughter also plays the same sport. Will Bingo become a champion too? We'll find out in the next episodes. And if you want new videos every day, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. When Chilli was a kid, she grew up in the forest where Grandpa Mort lives. That's important because in the episode Granddad, there's a reference to Mrs. Healer's childhood. Right at the base of a giant tree, the word Chilli is carved, and of course, she's the one who wrote it many years ago. In that same episode, you can see Chilli swimming in the lake like a total pro, meaning that's where she learned how to be such a great swimmer. It was probably the neighbor Maynard who taught her all about that lake. Watching an episode about Chilli's time in the forest would definitely be a dream come true for fans. Let's hope Ludo Studios, the team behind the show, brings us a story like that. Right in the very first episode of the series Magic Xylophone, Chilli says she wishes she could freeze her boss at the airport. That pretty much proves Bluey's mom works for a super annoying dog. It'd be interesting to see Chilli in a day at work, handling airport security. Maybe we'd finally learn why her boss is such a mean dog that he gets under Mrs. Healer's skin like that. Would that make a good episode? You'll find out in Bluey Season 4. In the episode Sheepdog, something weird happens. And when we say weird, we mean beyond that ridiculous scene where Bandit pretends to be a sheep and bites the neighbor's nightgown. Chilli starts off the episode totally stressed out, and when Bandit gets home, she says, "I need 20 minutes alone with no one bothering me." And it'd be awesome to find out what she actually does with that time. We know Chilli works a lot, and because of that, she really needs time alone to relax. But if you pay attention, Mrs. Healer is someone who doesn't really know how to relax. In the episode Relax from Season 3, she can't even read a book in a peaceful place like a deserted beach. That just proves how interesting those 20 minutes alone might be. What does she do? Probably something funny like trying out a yoga pose, or maybe she dances. Did she just want 20 minutes to go poop? Raising 2 kids is hard. Maybe she doesn't even have time to use the bathroom. Either way, we'd love to know what Chilli does in her free time. An episode about that would be amazing. Even better, you can keep having fun. We picked out 2 more awesome videos for everyone to enjoy. We'll see you in the next one. Catch you later.